Oh God, Dana White has just said some like really dumb COVID shit.
I haven't got it yet. I've been traveling. I've been living a pretty normal life, you know.
Dana says a regular life. Dana's regular life is not what a normal person's regular fucking life is. Not everyone gets to go on a fucking private jet to go traveling. Not everyone gets to stay in a private hotel owned by the fucking UFC. Like, come on, man. Ugh, he's so fucking disconnected. God, I hate this son of a bitch.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Smeshcast. It is Smesh Sunday. We are fresh off of the fights. And we had Anthony Lionheart-Smith taking on Devin Clark. We also had Mike Tyson making his comeback fight against Roy Jones Jr. in our two headlining bouts this weekend. What do you guys want to talk about first?
I think we should talk about the thing that everyone's really thinking about right now. Mike Tyson exceeded all expectations.
Absolutely.
What an animal. He didn't get he didn't gas out after, I mean, neither of them gassed out entirely after 2 rounds like everyone kind of expected. No one got knocked out, which is really the best case scenario for a fight like this. It's kind of like the Adesanya Silva fight. The best outcome for the fans and for everyone is just no one gets knocked out. It's just a fun, entertaining fight.
Mm-hmm.
But God, Tyson, those body shots.
Oh my God.
You know, with
unbelievable
boxing, it's like I haven't watched. I don't know if I don't watch boxing, but I guess just same as the UFC. You know, they don't have a big, massive crowd in there, so you can really hear these shots landing. And those Tyson, those liver exploders from Tyson. Oh my God. It's like, I never watched Tyson in his prime. I've never been able to watch a live Tyson fight because I'm a young man, which is that in itself is a very nice thing to be able to experience. But I mean, God, it's like, it seems like relative to his age, it's like he hasn't lost a step.
I mean, yeah, it's amazing to see. It was really nice to see they bring back their classic styles, right? We had that bob and weave Mike Tyson, very, very classic, some fucking heavy ass shots, and he didn't gas out nearly as much as you expected. And of course, you had Roy with a good fancy footwork, tons of lead hooks, lead jabs, and the fucking speed he had. Especially you put it on a couple of those flurries in those later 3 rounds. Those were fun. And yeah, I mean, it was surprising to see that Roy Jones was the one that was actually the more tired one at the end of the fight, and then the one that was gassing out more when Roy's been the one that's been active recently. Mike hasn't fought in 14 years, I think, since he had his last exhibition bouts. It's crazy.
It's those body shots, man. They gotta take it out of you. I mean, geez, if I took one of those, I'm not walking for the rest of the week, let alone getting back up and fighting.
And you got to love that there was that moment, I think it was in the end of the third round, maybe end of the second. I don't remember exactly, but Mike had a couple big shots after the bell.
Yeah.
And he immediately like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He gave Roy a hug, and the announcers even said, that's new Mike Tyson. That's a new Mike Tyson."
Yeah, it was good to see that respect shown between the two legends. But yeah, I don't know how you score that one a draw. Personally,
who cares?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who won that fight. I don't think we're gonna see, they were humoring it a little bit, but I don't think we're gonna see another fight with either of those two fellas again. Roy Jones was when he was asked point blank by the interviewer at the end, about his interest in doing another fight, you could tell he was kind of playing around, trying to not shut it down immediately, but you could tell he wanted none of that. He wanted none of that at that point.
So I have a couple things to say on this. So first of all, on that point, there is actually talk maybe about him fighting an Anderson Silva. And I can kind of see where the argument is there, just because Anderson doesn't box and so maybe Roy can kind of keep up with him a little bit. It would have to be a short ass match because Roy, as we know, doesn't have the cardio to go 8 rounds even at 2-minute rounds. I'm not fully sure, but there was something else I wanted to bring up about Mike Tyson in general. So I had a really big fear, to be honest, coming into this fight. I remember watching his Joe Rogan interview a year, maybe 2 years ago, when he was talking on that podcast about how he would never go back to boxing. Why does he not want to go back to boxing? Because he's scared to bring back those demons, bring back that energy, become who he used to be, and he knows that boxing is going to bring that out of him, right? And so that's why I was so shocked when he said he was making this comeback. And he said, oh, that the tiger has reawoken, and people were excited about this. And Rogan was excited about this. And I was kind of thinking, like, dude, like, we were all talking. You were saying how you don't want the tiger to come back because you don't like who that man was. And he wasn't a happy person. He was an angry man. So I was really worried that we were gonna see Tyson kind of devolve into that older, or I guess younger version of himself. I was shocked to see that we didn't see that in exactly the moment I spoke about earlier, where he hugged Roy after he had those body shots after the bell. Old Tyson would have been a fucking tiger in the octagon, still fucking wanting to murder the man, and wouldn't have given a fuck. New Tyson was able to keep his composure, was able to still he was still addressing it. It's a violent, obviously, sport, but he still came at it somehow from an angle of love, which shows just the progression in the individual and the man and the character that is Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I mean, he said himself in the post-fight interview that, like, he feels like a completely different person. I mean, athletically and by his performance, he was obviously still very present and there. I mean, looked phenomenal. Expressed that he wants to do it again. And, like, when this event was announced, there was a small part of me that thought, like, maybe this is going to end up like
Chuck and Tito.
Exactly, Chuck and Tito. And that the promotion would just tank, like Oscar De La Hoya's, attempt to make an MMA promotion was just horrible. And it, I forget how many pay-per-views it grossed, but I think it was like well under 100,000.
Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell.
Yeah. So I had a fear that, like, maybe this event would follow that pattern, but it seems like it grew a substantial amount of attention and had a great audience. And Mike said he wants to, create similar events for old legends and different sports for different, athletes of their time. And I think it's a great organization. It's a great opportunity for, like, these older athletes to not completely give up their life and their sporting. So I don't know. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, Mike seems, pretty dedicated to the philanthropy kind of element of it. After the fight, in that interview as well, he said, when he was asked if he would just get in there for a non-exhibition fight, for just like a regular fight where, he can, build up, towards, I don't know, some kind of a title. He's like, no. This is nothing like that. I'm not interested in that at all. He says he's only interested in charity right now. So, and that's pretty indicative of his new, mentality as well. I think I read somewhere recently, don't quote me on this because, who knows? I think I read something about a study that showed that, people, by the time that a person is like 77, they're like a totally different person than they were when they were like 27.
That makes sense. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's probably a very simple way for me to talk about whatever
or
this study was.
We can go back to Muhammad Ali. You can go back to Muhammad Ali, who said, a man who has the same opinion at 50 that he had at 20 has wasted 30 years of his life. That's
a very sharp quote.
Right. And you can see that in Mike Tyson. He is not the same man at 54 as he was at 24. He has not wasted the last 30 years. He's grown. He's gone through the ringer. He's done some bad shit. He's been in some dark places, but he's come out of it a beautiful human being. And it's amazing to see.
Yeah. Glad to see him give back. I'll say, before maybe we move on, I just want to touch up on, I don't know about you guys, but when they, like, right before the fight started, when they were standing in the ring, they both looked like they wanted to be anywhere else but right there, if you ask me.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, the fight, especially Mike, who looked absolutely just like distraught before the fight. Like, he looked very sad. He looked like depressed. He looked terrified, I thought. Yeah. And then he went in and was just like a fucking animal. That was weird. What I think is that I don't know. I wonder if they were terrified, or if, like, maybe it was just all the emotions of getting back in the ring and feeling all the nostalgia. I don't know. Or maybe Mike was worried about going back to this old animal personality, and becoming a, maybe he was worried that could happen, and then figured out as the fight went on that his takes more than that just to change a person's personality entirely. So that was a weird moment. I don't know. Hey, viewers, what do you think in the comments? Did they look fucking scared to you? They looked kind of fucking scared to me.
I just watched a quick clip of Mike Tyson filming The Hangover with and the director Todd Phillips, who was trying to like instruct him how to throw a punch. And Mike Tyson was like, the captain of the Jewish debate team trying to teach me how to throw a punch.
Love it.
Very interesting conversation. Another interesting conversation is that co-main event. Let's stay on that same event because I mean that actually was a lot more fun than I expected. Nate Robinson getting knocked the fuck out by Jake Paul. So there were 3 knockdowns in that fight. Jake first in the first round caught up in the overhand right, just as he turned out, as Nate charged in. Nate kept on charging in wild shots and then clinching up. He had no idea what he was doing in there.
Yeah, no.
Jake didn't quite know how to I guess keep him off him and how to counter him on the way in, but he looked a lot more composed than Nate did, and he started to find that counter right as the fight went on. That first one hit him right over on top of the ear, and it completely fucked his equilibrium. And we've seen that happen in MMA quite a bit. We've seen this happen to Deontay Wilder. When you're hit in that behind the ear area, your balance is completely just fucked for a while.
Yeah, and you could tell.
And you could tell, and he was trying to milk it, say, oh, back of the head, back. It was clearly not. The referee gave him more time than he should have, I think. Absolutely. He gave him a solid 15, 20 seconds. Not the standard. But regardless, he went back in there, almost fell over, finished off the round, and then the second round got knocked down again. I thought it was over. Nate got back up, did not look like he wanted to continue. I thought he was like, I don't know why the ref let him continue. He looked like he did not want to be in there. And very, very quickly got a straight right on the jaw and face planted. That was ugly. And Jake, by the way, sorry to rant on here. One more point. Jake did not look happy. Jake looked a little bit like, holy fuck, what did I just do to him, man? Like he looked a little bit scared. There's a little bit of
actually,
fear there.
I caught that a little bit. He definitely seemed like not like the immediate celebration you see out of some of the killers.
Right.
I don't think he's like a fighter at heart. I think he's just
empathy.
A guy.
Too much empathy.
Yeah.
As much of a dick as you might think he is, as much as you might hate him, he clearly was empathetic about this guy. He clearly felt bad about knocking him out.
I don't know if it was that clear. I think that it could have been anything. He could have just been shocked at the power in his own hands, or just like in awe at the fact that he just knocked out a fucking professional athlete. I don't know if it was that he felt bad about it necessarily. Maybe. But
what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, he hasn't experienced like his entirety of like having an amateur career, and like growing up with the sport, like gaining an understanding, like, okay, if I take a loss, if I win, like what are the impacts on me versus my my opponent? Like he hasn't experienced all that. He's just thrown in there and it's like televised on TV. So him probably like getting his first real KO.
I disagree because he's been in there. He's done this 3 times. The first was amateur. Yes, it was amateur, but it was an amateur match, but it was hugely broadcasted. The second was a professional match, hugely broadcasted. He gets a KO and he jumps on. He celebrates, but it was a TKO. It was a referee stoppage.
Right.
And then this one, he knocks the guy out, and he's like, "Oh, holy shit!"
Right. Which like what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is he hasn't experienced that yet. So he was probably just frankly just surprised at like what just happened.
He was scared. He's like, fuck, like I see this guy face plant. I just like I can understand because that brain trauma does something. The guy's out cold. The guy was he looked worried when the guy was unconscious.
Yeah, it was a bad knockout.
And he knows how to sell fights. He did a great job, to be honest. In all the pre-fight interviews, the way he spoke was just like a guy he looks like a guy who was studying McGregor, that was studying the big talkers, the big shot callers, and he did it well. Honestly, he knows how to promote himself.
Yeah,
I just expected him to go and show off, but when he sees the guy is still not awake for a few seconds, he's like, "Fuck! I hope I didn't just kill this dude." Like I can genuinely understand why, especially if, as you say, you don't have the experience, you haven't knocked someone out. and you knock someone out and you see them unconscious for a few minutes, you're like, fuck, did I just kill this guy? Like, I know deaths do happen in boxing. Like, I don't want, this is not what I meant to be. Like, I am not doing this to be the champion. I don't have that mindset coming in to murder you. I'm coming in as like, this is fun. This is whatever. But like, that's not what I meant. I mean to kill you, right?
Yeah,
like, I can see why he's scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's just in it for self-promotion. And anyway, he's just looking for, if Jake Paul could have gotten as big, just like making like shitty music.
I disagree. That's what he's doing.
But if he could have had the same exact level of outreach and promotion just doing that, which the boxing absolutely adds to, like, I mean, he's good at marketing himself. He's putting himself everywhere.
I think he genuinely likes it.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. I mean, he looked like he's clearly been training. He's absolutely been training. I mean, he looked like a guy who's probably been training for about a year
and a half. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, like, clearly, yeah, he likes it, but I think that I think his number one priority is self-promotion. He's going to go wherever he feels that he's going to be able to, market himself to the widest possible audience.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure there's also, like, boxing, they're making a choice as well to bring him on. Boxing is, I mean, I think Mike Tyson said in an interview just last night, he's like, the UFC's been kicking our ass. We owe a lot to Jake Paul for bringing like young people to boxing and getting attention back on boxing. So I'm sure that there are a number of different enterprises and things that Jake Paul could have been getting involved in. But I bet that boxing just gave him fucking some crazy offers and shit.
I gotta say, no, I don't think anybody is genuinely not at all a boxing fan watches the Jake Paul fight and becomes a boxing fan. I just don't think that's gonna be a real thing. I really don't. I don't see us. Like, we're MMA. Look at it this way, Noah. You're an MMA fan already. You watched that fight. Are you now any more likely to watch the next big boxing fight?
Yeah, but we're in our 20s. Jake Paul fight is the people like who a Jake Paul fight is really marketed towards are young people who are like between, like, when I became a UFC fan for the first time, when I was like between like 11 and 13. I think they're trying to market.
No. He's older than that. He has a much older. He has a way older target audience than that. He's
Jake
more
Paul?
like
no.
Nowadays for
they're
sure.
Like
dude.
young. I mean, I don't even know what he's doing nowadays other than fighting.
No.
But no, he's got a young audience. There's no
Not
way.
Anymore.
I don't know, so I can't really argue with you. But I can't allow myself to believe that people older than 13 are watching.
No, the
Jake
audience.
Paul,
No, dude, you have to understand the audience has grown and the creators have also grown. Like, they've gotten older, they've changed their content, they've gotten more mature. As much as you might not, they have definitely gotten more mature, and their content has matured, and their audience has matured with it. It genuinely is. Like, I've seen some of the newer stuff. To be honest, I never watched their older shit. I've seen some of the newer shit. It actually is very much not for 12-year-olds at all. In addition,
I mean, their shit was never for 12-year-olds. Their shit was always very bad for young people to watch.
No, but I don't know. It does actually seem something like it's marketed for someone close to my age. But I just wanted to bring up in a different.
I'm gonna just have to clear my mind after that horrible thing you just said to me.
We are the same age. Saying that you haven't watched
the same age.
Yes, you haven't watched this shit in the last year, so you don't know.
And I won't ever know. I don't ever need to know.
So then you you have no basis to make an argument.
I already said that, motherfucker. I also told you that for my own mental health, I have to I have to imagine that people over 13 are not interested in Jake Paul.
All right. So then Noah, I want to bring in one other point. So there is a guy, Jake actually has a brother, an older brother named Logan. So there was a video of, I don't know when this came out, something like maybe 6-8 months ago. We know remember those Russian slap contests, right?
Oh yeah.
Everyone knows those. Logan Paul was going to go fly to Moscow and compete.
Yeah, I remember this.
And he brings in a guy who's competed, this huge, like 300-pound hulk of a man, to go and teach him. And the guy's like, okay, you can get one slap on me first, and then I go on you. And you go as hard as you can, wind up, do everything you fucking can, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Logan goes, winds up, and knocks the guy clean out. The guy does not. The guy is like, what's going on? Where am I? Like, clean over. And Logan decided not to go to Moscow because he was scared of doing that to another person. I'm now thinking of him. I'm comparing that to the Jake Paul. I can kind
The
of
Jake
understand
Paul.
To the Jake Paul scenario or situation, to this whole thing about Jake. I know we're bringing back an older conversation of Jake looking scared after he knocked a guy out. This is clearly something his brother has experienced the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's just because they are just being thrown into this like completely new environment. Like they're not growing with the sport.
It's not completely new, but I don't think they've ever knocked someone clean out is the idea.
Yeah. I mean, well, they're new.
But they've knocked people out before, just not like that.
If you grow up, I think, like Adam, what you're kind of getting at, if you grow up, training in martial arts, going in local tournaments, and whatnot from a young age, by the time you get to like, if you're skilled enough to get onto like a professional or even like a regional scene, by the time you get to that point, if you've been growing up with it, you get a knockout, it's not going to be like scary to you anymore.
Why not?
It's just like a thing that you do.
Everyone has a first knockout, though. Everyone that gets knockouts has a first time they got a knockout.
Yeah, and I'm saying,
wouldn't they react in that way?
If that starts when you're young, if like your first knockout happens when you're maybe in like a tournament when you're like 14, by the time you're like 23, 24, 25, getting into like, if you're skilled enough to get into the UFC, a knockout's like just another thing that you do.
Right. Like I'm sure the first
I'm less
time
sensitive over time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm sure the first time that Conor McGregor knocked somebody out when he was very young and like just starting competing, I'm sure he was probably had a similar reaction.
I don't
like,
know.
Oh crap!
You hear Justin Gaethje talk about his first fight. Justin Gaethje said like he has talked about his first fight and where he got his nose broken and then he knocked this guy out and he felt he looked at his hand and he said, "Holy shit, that was awesome." Yeah.
I mean, hey,
right?
it's gonna be different depending on the person.
Here's I think something that you said at the very beginning, and I think that this is what summarizes this whole thing, and that Jake Paul is not a killer. He's not a natural born fighter. That's not who he is. Justin Gaethje is as core a fighter's fighter as exists on the fucking planet. So when Justin Gaethje gets his first ever knockout, he looks at his hands and says, "Holy fucking shit, that was awesome. Let's do that again." When fucking Jake Paul gets one, because he's just, a fucking Hollywood guy nowadays, he's like, "Oh, fuck, I just did that to, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of showing he's Hollywood. He's not a boxer.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a fighter. I think we've kind of gone on a little bit too long on this. Let's move on to the UFC event. We had Devin Clark getting choked out in the first round. Anthony Lionheart Smith with his comeback at 205 pounds. That triangle choke, he honestly dominated that fight from start to finish. 2.5 minutes. Devin came charging in with that flurry of punches, got taken down, and from then it was just position to position to position, jiu-jitsu mastery by Anthony Lionheart Smith, and eventually finishes him off with a triangle.
Yeah, it's great to see him get another win. After in his own words, a couple of poor performances. The fight itself was pretty, like you said, it was pretty straightforward. You pretty much said all there is to say about the fight. He got a great submission finish. The interesting thing for me was the post-fight interview.
Mm-hmm.
He said a few interesting things, which are really we all know that Anthony Smith is like a very smart man. He's very self-aware. And one of the things that he said is that he's no longer going to be thinking about what's the next fight that's going to get me a title shot. I'm just going to fight the next person in front of me. So that he is setting his sights realistically. He knows that a title shot is probably not in his future. I don't think he sees himself beating any of the I don't think he sees himself beating a Jan or a Thiago Santos or
He's 205 pound cowboy.
Yeah, pretty much. Then I'm just really pleased to see him get up. He got a performance of the night bonus, which is great for him. Gets to get another win on his record, because I bet a loss here would have been very, very bad for him. Dana would have been saying, especially if it was like a dominant loss, that Dana White would have been talking, the same way he was talking about Cowboy, bring him up last time he fought. So, really just a best case scenario for Lionheart, a great victory for him that, gets him back on everyone's radar and gets his confidence back quite a bit. I think I've said in the past, but I've wondered how the home invasion that he dealt with, that awful incident that happened to him, for viewers who don't know, as a person broke into Anthony Smith's house. He had to fight off the intruder. Apparently this guy the guy who broke in was also like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu like champion. Some weird shit like that, some weird serendipitous shit like that. And I mean, go figure. I mean, I'm pretty sure pictures of the guy after the fact, he was all bloodied up and had the shit beaten out of him, and Anthony Smith looked fine. But Smith said it was the hardest fight of his life. Yeah. And clearly that's, physical sense, that's not true, but in an emotional, mental sense, he thought he was fighting for his life. So I have to wonder how much that very traumatic experience impacted his last couple performances. But this is a great win to get his confidence back. Very happy for him. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah. I think he has a great mindset going into the future. Dropped maybe a Paul Craig he would fight. Maybe fighting the winner of Yuri and Reyes. Like I think he just has a good mindset. He's aware of like the situation that he's been put in, that maybe he hasn't had some of the best performances, but looks like he's making the right taking the right approach.
I gotta say, Adam, the way that you just went, maybe Paul Craig, or maybe the winner of Yuri Prochazka and Dominic Reyes, like they were the same thing, or on the same level. Like, what do you like, dude?
Okay,
the winner of Yuri Prochazka, Dominic Reyes is probably getting a title shot if it wasn't for Glover Teixeira and Israel Adesanya crowding that 200 pounds. Man, the winner of Yuri and Reyes is a top contender. I would say that it's going to go, the winner of Yuri and Reyes is going to have to fight the winner of Santos and who's he fighting? Who's Santos fighting in March?
Fighting Glover?
No, it's not Glover. It's not Ozdemir or something. It's another big guy.
Can't remember.
It's Rakic. Santos is fighting. So the winner of Santos and Rakic should fight the winner of Yuri and Reyes, and that is a crazy 3 fights. Those two, and then the winner of those two, and then they're gonna get a title shot against either against Blachowicz, Israel, or Glover, whoever has or against John, whoever has the belt at that point. But dude, I don't think Smith is anywhere near a title shot. I think, as Noah said, he is setting his sights realistically. He's gonna, if he wins, I think Craig is a good next step. If he beats Craig, then maybe he starts to look at a guy like a loser of a Yuri and Reyes, and then you can, or the loser of Santos and Rakic, and then you can go into maybe a title shot or competing for a title shot. But he's 3 fights away right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was freaking out during the fight because prior to in my YouTube recommended popped up the Bryce Mitchell going for the twister, and I was just like watched it out of enjoyment. And so I was as the fight went on and Anthony Smith was going for a twister, I was like, oh my god, 2 twisters in one day.
Oh boy, that's a lot of excitement.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't have a ton to say on this fight. It was a fun fight. It was a high intensity, high energy chess match. Miguel Baeza taking on Takashi Sato. Baeza getting that second round submission. Do you guys want to go on this one? I don't have a ton to say, to be honest. I missed part of the fight. I was watching the Tyson fight.
Yeah, there's the problem. I'm sorry, audience, but I mean, what do you expect us to do? We're only men. When you get to watch the first live Mike Tyson fight of your entire life, the only one you'll probably ever see, you got to take that opportunity.
Priorities.
So,
hey, I guess that's
good job, fellas. Good old-fashioned fight. Pretty sure there was a performance of the night bonus.
Yeah, so I didn't see the fight itself, to be honest. However, what I did see is Dana's post-fight comments on it. And what he did say is that Baeza looked like a stud. Baeza is a Puerto Rican, and they don't have a lot of Puerto Rican fighters in the UFC right now, but he sees Puerto Rico as another potential major hub for talent. He wants to put a PI, for Noah and your fans, a performance institute in Puerto Rico.
They need a private investigator down there so they can get into the gyms and scout out the talent.
Exactly. So they want to put a PI. They want to build a PI in Puerto Rico. And as Dana actually said straight up in the press conference, he could be their Puerto Rican superstar that headlines or really leads their push in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to take a closer look next time he's in the octagon.
I suppose so. One last fight I wanted to mention in this card was our sleeper fight of the week, Noah. We mentioned this last week just after Adam jumped off the podcast. Unfortunately, Spike Carlisle, we said, was the man to watch, the Alpha Ginger, and he came out like the Alpha Ginger. Absolute bombs away against Bill Algeo. Algeo able to weather the storm. Algeo had the reach advantage, the length advantage. He had what looked like the slickness and the boxing advantage. He had better feints, I thought, than Spike Carlisle. And for that reason, he was able to withstand the explosiveness of Carlisle in the first round. And as you know, with these crazy, powerful, explosive fighters, it's just not possible to have those big, explosive, powerful movements and sustain them through the through 3 rounds of fighting. And for that reason, Bill was able to get the win. But it was still a fun fight.
Sorry, if I could just jump in. It seems like Spike has like not like in general doesn't seem like he has the best gas tank. Like he tired very quickly, and maybe not.
He was
like not the best gas tank. But he's really
He sprinted from the start.
Yeah, and then he just made some poor decisions as the fight went on. Like some of that wrestling he was doing towards the end. You remember? You see when he tried for that like suplex, when he tried to like when he lifted Algeo up, you could tell he didn't have enough energy to execute the throw, and he lifted him up in the air, and then he just kind of held him there for a couple of seconds. That's got to take a ton of energy, and then Algeo just like fucking slid back and got him on the ground, and like when Algeo was on top, my God, what a bloodbath. He was dominating. From round 2 and 3, it was such a clear, dominant performance for Algeo. That's a fun fight.
It's just because I think Spike, all of his movements, the only thing he can do is big, powerful, high energy movements, which are high effort, but also high output. But and so you get rewarded if you can pull it off, but you have to pull it off in order for that to work. And it was just, yes, he was damaging, but he wasn't damaging enough to finish. And when you don't get a finish, and your only way of fighting is these big, powerful movements, when you don't have the energy for it anymore in the third round, as you say, you try to pull off and fight like that same fighter, but you can't fight like that same fighter, and you just don't have the energy to do it. And he got dominated for the second and third round. But I think, look, still a guy I want to watch again. Still a guy I'm going to keep my eyes out. He's still a fun. He's a fighter's fighter. He's a TV fighter.
That was a lot of fun to watch, and he's clearly got a lot of room for growth. I can only hope that he learns from this fight. Like clearly, he's got great wrestling.
Yep.
He needs the energy to execute it, and he needs to be aware that when things don't go his way on the feet, he can be very successful with the wrestling as long as he doesn't completely fuck himself over. Oh, it seems like my Roomba has turned itself on by itself. I hope that it doesn't start fucking around.
Of course, the artificial intelligence has already taken over the world. It's taken over our podcast. Anyway, there was, I guess, one last fight to talk about on that main card, and that was our heavyweight fight. Josh Parisian against Parker Porter. Another fun, just slugfest of a fight. Parker Porter getting a third round decision, but it was just both boys throwing bombs for 3 rounds straight.
It was a lot of energy. It's why didn't Spike maintain that energy? These guys were big tubby tubsters. One of them, God, what was it? Parisian. Porter looked like he had a Tyson Fury frame of just like, he clearly has like a lot of like a big broad chest, a lot of muscle, and then Parisian was just big tubby tubster. He didn't have it didn't seem like he had any underlying muscle, but at the same time, I bet that man is so fucking strong, he could probably leg press like 900 pounds. Those big tubby boys, are fucking powerful. God.
It's all the Ben Rothwells of the world.
Mm-hmm. I really want to see another like what's his name? Fucking guys like Roy Nelson, who are just big fat tubby tubster, or Mark Hunt, who just fucking big tubby tubsters that are so goddamn strong that they'll put you out in one shot, and you can't even move them when you hit them.
Bro, Rampage Jackson.
Yeah. He's looking like a bit of a tubby tubster nowadays, that's for sure.
God. All right, boys. So I'm here with some potentially tragic but breaking news here. It is rumored, according to some Swedish MMA sites, that Khamzat Chimaev might actually have tested positive for COVID-19, which it is unclear what that means for his fight. It is in 3 weeks' time. In order for him to fight on December 19th, he must test negative for the entire week before the fight. He has apparently, according to some rumors, this is unconfirmed, these are not necessarily top-level sources, saying that he has already tested positive and he is sick.
Yeah, apparently he has a fever. It's not great. We got to hope for the best for the man. We got to hope for the best for ourselves, because this fight was going to make this whole year all worth it.
This fight was craziness. This was going to tell us whether or not Khamzat was a fighter of the year. Absolutely, if he won this fight. I'm hoping that they just decide to move this fight. That December 19th card is, even without this fight, is fucking stacked. So they have plenty of fights. Jeff Neal versus Wonderboy Thompson can easily be the main event of that fight night, and they have tons of other fights that are really, really fun on that card. I hope that they just move this Leon Edwards and Khamzat Chimaev fight to maybe the Conor McGregor card, to one of these one of the International Fight Week big events, but make it a main event. Keep the 5 rounds, because that I think is necessary.
Yeah,
I
absolutely agree.
Adam, what do you think they should do?
Yeah, I'd definitely keep the fight. That's what I'd hope. For them to play sort of like musical chairs, which is what they're doing next weekend, and sort of switch up the opponents, it would be great for short term, but I think long term it's better just to push the card push the fight, and just have Leon and Khamzat fight on a later date.
Yeah, because I mean, the only other option would be to give like a Wonderboy Thompson against Leon Edwards, and then give Jeff Neal to Khamzat. But I think, first of all, they actually want to give a bigger name to Khamzat. They want to give a better name to Jeff Neal. They're actually trying to build Khamzat and Jeff. They're not trying to build Wonderboy and Leon. So they want to give them. They want to build Jeff's name off of Wonderboy. They can't do that if they give Wonderboy to Leon, and they can't really build Khamzat or Jeff nearly as much as they could if they had these matchups. So I think they're going to keep these matchups. I'm just hoping that these rumors are false. I'm hoping that while this is obviously great for our channel to be the breaking news, I just hope this fight is happening, man. I don't want to see this canceled.
Yep. I'll say probably by the time this episode's out, we're probably going to know for sure what the outcome is. So at 3:40 p.m. on November 29th, I'm saying let's hope for the best, and that these rumors are just that, rumors.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to some other MMA news from that same region of the world, from that Chechen kind of region, former Soviet Union, I guess you can say. Khabib Nurmagomedov has bought Dagestani MMA promotion Gorilla FC for $1 million. Now, this means a couple things. First of all, Khabib being at the helm of any MMA organization is obviously great for that MMA organization's name. It's going to attract fighters. And when you have him at the helm of a Dagestani organization, which already is breaking out all these amazing fighters and wrestlers, is going to bring a lot of attention into MMA in that region, and you're going to grow it even more. Second of all, not only are you going to grow that promotion, but that promotion now, because it has Khabib at the helm, is going to get all this external, all this external attention as well. Dana and Khabib, as has been well publicized, have a meeting coming up. Dana said it'll happen in Abu Dhabi. So it'll be probably in January. Well, when they have this meeting, of course, Dana's going to probably try to get Khabib to fight, but Khabib is definitely going to talk to Dana White and try to get Gorilla FC on Fight Pass. And that's going to give all these Dagestani fighters a great way, an outlet to these two American audiences. And I think it'll be really, really good for MMA in that region.
Yeah, for sure. I'm scared to see all the just
Murderers.
killers
Oh,
that come out of there and start to
Assassins.
just take over the UFC.
Yep, it's gonna be an exciting couple of years, I think.
Now, a couple of thoughts came out of this. So, first of all, I mean, Khabib at the helm of an MMA organization. I never thought of this beforehand, but everyone's been talking, oh, who's the next Dana White? Could it be Khabib?
I don't know if Khabib has that level of charisma, nor is he as interested and as ambitious as Dana is in a business sense.
Mhm.
Like Khabib's happy to be like a fucking farmer for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he wants
He's
to
I
grow
don't
the
think he
sport.
I don't think he's buying this out as a business move. I think he's doing it as like, I want to be like, I want to have as much of an impact as my dad did.
Exactly.
Like
It's
that.
carrying
Right.
out his father's legacy. I was going to say that, and perfect point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I don't think he's going to ever be like a Dana White. I don't think he's ever going to be I mean, he'll draw just by his name brand alone. He'll be able to draw a massive audience to whatever like you said, to whatever he's associated with. But I don't think he's going to work very hard. I don't think he's going to go the extra mile. I don't think he's going.
I
He's going to
disagree with
invest.
that.
I think he's going to invest. He's going to probably have other business partners with him that take care of a lot of the administrative stuff. And I feel like he's going to be on the ground with the fighters.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he was. I think a great kind of summary to this is he isn't looking to be the next Dana White. He's looking to be the next Abdulmanap.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I think that's clear from his actions of being at the helm of a promotion, and investing his money and his time into growing MMA in the region of Dagestan. I think that's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on from this,
I'm
because we
getting
have
some water, boys. I'll be right back.
no worries.
Keep on talking.
Moving on to some huge news. In addition, we have a pay-per-view scheduled in just 2 weeks' time. I know we just had one last week, so 3 weeks between two pay-per-view events, and we have two great fights that were booked on that card. We have Figueiredo officially defending his title twice in 3 weeks against Brandon Moreno, who also will be fighting twice in 3 weeks. Both have to make that weight cut again, but both will be headlining the December 12th pay-per-view event. In addition, our co-main event is Tony Ferguson, El Kukui, out of nowhere, coming back against DuBronx, Charles Oliveira. This is a crazy duo of fights to be added on just a few weeks before the event. These two fights, Figgy and Moreno, and then Tony and DuBronx, is just so hype. I am so excited for both of these. Honestly, I don't even know which one I'm more excited for. As much as Tony DuBronx is going to be fun, Figueiredo and Moreno is low-key going to be flashy, exciting, quick, nonstop, and 5 rounds, if it makes it that far.
I know these past couple of weeks, DC and Helwani have been talking a lot about who should be fighter of the year. And if he wins this, there's great debate for him for Figueiredo for fight of the year, for
now
sure.
Now that Khamzat might not be fighting, if Khamzat was fighting and beat Leon, absolutely. If that still happens, he's going to win it anyway. But if Khamzat does not fight, Kevin Holland doesn't fight in this year, and then Figueiredo wins, easily fight of the year, easily, no questions asked. In addition, we also have Jacare against Kevin Holland. So we have had some crazy movement in this middleweight division. Hermanson was supposed to take on Holland next week. Kevin Holland came down with COVID-19, so they moved him against Jacare Souza and took Jacare's opponent, who was supposed to be Marvin Vittori, and they are now putting him against Jack Hermanson on next week's card. So Jacare against Kevin Holland is also a fantastic card. And speaking of fighter of the year, Kevin Holland actually could be the fighter of the year. He is, I believe, if he wins this fight, he'll have 5 wins in 2020. Which, considering how few MMA events, is pretty crazy. So I think actually Holland and Figueiredo can both win fight of the year. It'll be a close matchup between them. They both need a big win if they wanna keep that spot in that debate.
Who holds the record for the most wins in the UFC in 1 year?
I believe it's probably 5 with Adesanya, something like that. It's probably 5 with a bunch of people. Maybe it's 6. Angela Hill had a lot. Angela Hill had a time when she was fighting a lot and very, very frequently.
Most wins in a calendar year. Neil Magny. And Roger Huerta.
When? How many?
That's from 2007, and Neil Magny's 2014. Let's see.
7?
Yeah, five respectively.
5.
In
Okay,
the year.
so Holland will get 5 wins if he wins this year, and he'll
then
tie the record.
Mm-hmm.
But
Let's see if
Figueiredo will
someone
have
can beat that
4
record
wins.
sometime.
But Figueiredo will have 4 wins, and they'll all be title fights. So
Now that's impressive.
that wins. I think that
Mhm.
wins. 4 title fight wins is more impressive than 5 wins. I still think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you're asking me who's the more impressive fighter, Neil Magny or Figueiredo, I mean, come on now.
Yeah. In addition, okay, other news. Also, some other COVID mess ups. Of course, this weekend was not supposed to be headlined by by Anthony Smith and Devin Clark. It was supposed to be headlined by Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades, and Curtis Blades unfortunately got COVID. This will be apparently scheduled sometime in the next 3 weeks. Essentially, it will be added on to one of the cards this year. Most likely, I would say the former Khamzat card, the December 19th card, I think is the most likely one. Give Curtis Blades as much time as possible to recover. The only reason I think that they're actually putting this on this year and not waiting and giving Blades more time to recover is because at heavyweight, they don't need to cut weight. And so they don't, because weight cutting after COVID is not possible. But no. I think when you don't need to weight cut, I think it makes more sense that this will be added on. And so we've just had so much weirdness, so much drama, so much craziness now that COVID is really, it's kind of, we thought we were kind of settling down there in August and September, and it's come back to bite us in the ass.
No, it's almost as if it's on the exact same trajectory that every medical professional was saying it would be on.
That wouldn't make any sense.
Phase 2 thing.
Yeah. But who listens to science in 2020?
Yeah, doctors. Fuck a doctor. I can treat my own stuff. Everybody go on YouTube and look up DIY dentistry. You can learn how to do all of your own treatments.
No. Let's move on very swiftly to, speaking of Figueiredo, the UFC actually has signed another Figueiredo. The UFC has signed, his name is Francisco Figueiredo. It is Davison Figueiredo's brother. That is another exciting young prospect. I don't know how good this guy is, but just being a Figueiredo, he has to be somewhat good. Do you guys know what weight class he is?
I'm not sure. I just heard that they're signing him. I'm not really sure what information's out there. Can I just say, when it comes to my favorite name contest, these guys are gonna kill it every time. Davison, Francisco, who's naming these guys? These are some legendary names right here. I love it. I love it myself. Okay, so let's see. What do we got? He's bantamweight.
Okay, 135. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, he's bantamweight, 11 wins, 3 losses. And his last
not
fight
as good as his brother, but we'll see.
Yeah, let's see what happens. He's already 31 years old as well, so that says something. But I haven't seen it. I would like to see some of his last few fights to see how he performed, because in general he's got a pretty solid record, provided that he's facing decent enough opponents. So I'm excited for that one. I mean, hey, anytime a relative of a champion gets signed, I mean, hey, that's something to look out for.
Always. A couple more things. I guess the real last thing I want to talk about in terms of news this week is some strange conversations that Dana was being very, very cryptic at the end of last night's post-fight press conference when discussing Yair Rodriguez. He was asked when Yair will be fighting. Yair posted some videos and some pictures on Instagram or something on social media saying how he was training, he was ready to fight. However, when asked about when he will be fighting, Dana was saying he will not be fighting anytime soon. He said that he said a few things. First of all, he said he would like to release whatever it was. He was surprised that UFC hadn't released whatever this reason is, but it will be coming soon. And secondly, he said it is nothing to do with him. It is not his business. It is not Hunter's business. It is not him shutting down fights. It is not a contract dispute, which means it is, in my opinion, one of 3 things. Either A, he has some sort of major family issue in which for which he can't compete. B and C are a little bit more personally egregious. Either he popped for some sort of steroid and it's a USADA issue, or he's not running into some sort of legal trouble. And he won't, and for that reason, he won't be able to fight for a long time. But something has clearly happened not very good in Yair Rodriguez's life that the UFC hasn't released yet.
I think it's less likely to be legal trouble. I think that's out of like UFC or Dana's control. Like if he was charged with a crime, that would have probably been public information a while ago. And we like on social media, I think people would have been talking about it because there would be evidence of that somewhere. Unless it's like a situation where he's being like accused of a crime and nothing specifics come out yet. So I wouldn't. I think that if I'm thinking the most likely thing, it's probably either USADA. Either USADA or family. I didn't consider it family.
I don't think it's family issues. I don't think the way he was reacting, he's like, I don't think that you're fighting anytime soon.
Dana seemed, he seemed like he didn't seem very happy. He seemed not like sad, disappointed. Like, yeah, exactly.
Or it was not even like this. You know what? It almost seemed like it's kind of like legal issues, but I can see why you have the same reaction as it to a USADA complication.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you're a football coach and one of the guys on your team like goes and breaks the law and gets locked up, and you're just like, I'm disappointed, I'm just sad about it. It's just like it's shitty. It just fucking sucks, man. And like it sucks that this guy kind of went down the wrong path. That's what it kind of looked like to me. It looked like you're fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how Dana said it's none of my business what's going on down there. Like that's a weird thing to
that means USADA or criminal, one of the two. It has to be.
It's like the way he says that in a very non-empathetic way leads you to believe that it's like he did something fucking bad and he's trying to like distance himself maybe before some shit comes out.
It's a shame.
It's a shame. It's Schrodinger's shame. Once we actually find out what the fuck happens, we'll know what's going on.
We don't know. It's both a shame and not a shame until we check.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to next week's event. I think let's move on to some happier times. We do have some good fights headlining. Look, as we mentioned, there were some shakeups. This was not supposed to be the fight. This was originally supposed to be Jack Hermansson against Darren Till. Then it was Jack Hermansson against Kevin Holland, and now it ends up, it appears at least, to be Jack Hermansson taking on Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori is an Italian fighter. He is fucking brutal. He's got some power in his hands. He's a very, very, very intense individual. I think this is, if anything, the battle of the battle cries. These two guys both have huge battle cries every time they get a big win. Even before they get a big win, just before the fight, they like to intimidate their opponents. It'll be fun. Marvin's an in-your-face fighter. Jack's an in-your-face fighter. I think Jack has got the ground game absolutely over Marvin. Marvin probably has the striking advantage. He probably has the power advantage. I think it's a fun fight. Anyone have any predictions?
I have a feeling that Hermansson's gonna keep propelling his trajectory with his grappling, because he seemed to he was using his striking more when he fought Cannonier, but when the Gastelum fight happened, just right off the bat, went for an Imanari roll. So I'm probably going to say it'll be a similar outcome. That'll just go for a submission right off the bat. Just make it a quick night.
I think
Marvin's an interesting name for an Italian guy, huh?
Oh my god! I thought you were going to give an MMA opinion. I'm like, oh yeah, go ahead, Noah. Marvin. No, I think it'll be either Hermansson by submission or it'll be Vettori. Vettori would win if it's a knockout. Vettori will win by a TKO. Vettori can win by a decision. But I think Hermansson would win the submission game. I think that's his only chance at winning. But I think that's a very, very real threat. A first round submission for Jack Hermansson is something that you always, always, always need to be ready for. That Joker team is deadly.
So, all right, you heard it here first, everyone. It's definitely not going to be a draw. What's going to happen is one of these two fellas is going to win.
No, I'm saying that if it goes to the end, it'll be Vettori's win.
I know. I gotcha.
Our co-main event, OSP, is coming back. As Noah, you wanted to mention, OSP was actually just reintroduced into the light heavyweight top 15. I'm not really sure why, if I'm being honest. Jamahal Hill is a fun prospect. He's a powerful man, as you would expect any light heavyweight prospect to be. 7-0, very green. Doesn't have a lot of fights in the UFC, but again, he's actually a strong fighter. He's a powerful fighter. He's quick. He's got some good, crisp hands. And it'll be fun to see him against a challenging guy for anybody with such a weird style in OSP.
Yeah, it'll be with OSP, it's either I find it's either, two polar opposite. It's either a fucking snooze fest or it's a fast-paced, exciting one-round fight. That's my experience, at least.
And usually this is our time for our sleeper fight of the week. If I'm being honest, I don't even see that many sleeper fights. They're all okay. Nothing really jumps off the page at me. We've got this guy Movsar Evlov, who has only one fight in the UFC. He has a win over Mike Grundy. He's another undefeated fighter. That's kind of nice to see. But I don't think that we really have any crazy, just hyped low key fights. Do you guys spot any sleeper fight of the week?
God, yeah, I don't recognize any of these guys.
Yeah,
I like
it's a
Jimmy
little bit sad.
Flick's name. Jimmy Flick sounds like someone who would work at like an old timey carnival or something. Versus Cody Durden. That's like Cody Durden, Tyler Durden. There's something there. So that's one to look out for, I suppose. And John Allen sounding like a founding father or some shit there. So there's another one.
A founding father.
John Allen? That sounds like a founding father to me. But yeah, I don't know who the fuck most of these guys are, but usually that means that it's going to be an exciting card. So
that is true.
I'm game.
All right.
You definitely count on us watching the fights next week.
As long as there's no Mike Tyson coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then we will watch those fights next week. We will report back to you next week, and of course, please like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and unless there's anything else to say, boys,
pray for Khamzat.
Pray for Khamzat, and we will talk to you all next week with some official Khamzat news. Hopefully positives.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully
COVID positive.
Hopefully,
yeah. Hopefully not COVID positive.
Yeah.
All right. For Adam, for Noah, I am Rowie. We will see y'all next week.